Bills Mafia, let me tell you, this team is doing everything possible to sharpen its edge, to push harder, and to bring the kind of results that we've all been waiting for. Every season feels like a new opportunity, and this year, Buffalo is showing us not just improvement on paper, but growth on the field. Before we dive into today's news, I need you to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and join the conversation in the comments. Trust me, you won't want to miss a single update as this team makes its run. Now let's get into what has suddenly become one of the biggest storylines in Orchard Park. James Cook is no longer just a piece of the offense. He is transforming into a true three-down workhorse for the Buffalo Bills. Think back to last season. Cook was a spark, a reliable back, but the numbers told a different story. He played just 48% of the team's offensive snaps and handled only 57% of the carries among running backs. That's not what you'd expect from a franchise back. In fact, that usage rate was one of the main points of contention during his contract negotiations this offseason. Cook wanted to be valued like a top back, but the Bills weren't sure they were ready to give him the workload or the paycheck that came with that title. Fast forward to today, and things look very different. After his brief hold-in, Cook got the extension he was looking for, and the Bills have responded by making him the focal point of their running game. Through just 3 games this season, Cook's snap share has jumped to 56%, but here's the kicker. He's handling a massive 76% of all running back carries. That's bell cow usage. That's RB1 territory. And Cook isn't just taking handoffs, he's producing. Against the Miami Dolphins on Thursday night, he racked up 108 yards on 19 carries, notching back-to-back 100-yard games for just the second time in his career. Through 3 games, he's totaled 284 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns, and is averaging a jaw-dropping 5.4 yards per carry. That's 94.7 yards per game, numbers that put him right up there with the best in the league. Head coach Sean McDermott couldn't hide his pride when asked about Cook's development. On the Bills' live stream Friday, he said, "I understand why we extended James. I think he's one of the better running backs in the NFL. I'm always happy when players get rewarded for their hard work and their production." But it's not just about the stats. What's changed for Cook is the completeness of his game. One of the reasons he was often taken off the field last season was his struggles in pass protection. Against Miami, though, we saw a different player. Cook held his ground in multiple pass protection reps, keeping Josh Allen upright and giving the offense more flexibility. That kind of improvement is what turns a good back into a great one. And let's be real, on a team with Josh Allen, it's hard for anyone else to shine. Allen is coming off an MVP season, and through 3 weeks of 2025, he looks like the best player in football. He just became the fastest quarterback in NFL history to throw 300 passing touchdowns, while also being the first to hit 200 passing and 50 rushing TDs. He's rewriting record books while leading Buffalo to a 3-0 start. But right now, Cook has arguably been the most valuable weapon outside of Allen. That says everything about how much his role has grown. The Bills know it too. That's why they've been feeding him the rock, trusting him in big moments, and letting him set the tone on the ground. Now let's touch on Thursday night's wild finish against Miami. Most of the talk post-game was about Cook's performance, Allen's dominance, and the Bills' unbeaten start. But there was also controversy brewing. At the end of the first half, Josh Allen recovered a fumble, kneeled, and the Dolphins argued about how the play was ruled. Miami head coach Mike McDaniel has already said he's taking it up with the NFL. Here's the deal. The league protects quarterbacks, always has, always will. When Allen recovered and gave himself up, it didn't matter that the ball was loose. It mattered that he was down by rule. Yes, Miami can complain, but the NFL isn't reversing that. The stats might get tweaked, but the result won't change. Buffalo still went into halftime with control, and the Dolphins left frustrated. That's the reality of facing the best quarterback in football. He finds ways to make plays, and when the rule book gets involved, 9 times out of 10, it favors him. Facing the media on Friday, he shouldered the blame. He said, "It starts with me. I've got to put us in the right position." That kind of accountability matters in a locker room. Players need to know their coordinator isn't passing the buck. and Babbage made it clear, if Miami was attacking the weaknesses in a given call, it was on him to adjust. So what exactly happened out there? A lot of it came down to execution in critical situations. Miami star receiver Jalen Waddle only caught 5 passes on the night, but 3 of those were either third or fourth down conversions. That's the definition of clutch production, and Buffalo simply couldn't get him off the field. And then, of course, there's Tyreek Hill. On a pivotal 3rd and 10 late in the first half, Hill broke inside on what Babbage called a vice tackle look, exploiting the exact weak spot of the coverage. Plays like that aren't about effort, they're about recognition and fundamentals. And another big storyline was the lack of pressure. Through the first 2 weeks, the Bills' defensive front looked ferocious, sacking opposing quarterbacks 8 times. But against Miami, Tua Tagovailoa wasn't sacked once. Babbage admitted that's a major concern. He explained it's all about timing, the offense's rhythm, the pocket collapsing at the right moment, and the coverage matching what the front is trying to take away. Against Miami, that synchronicity just wasn't there. Now, let's not lose sight of the bigger picture. The Bills are 3-0. They capitalized on Miami's mistakes and pulled out another win, extending their home dominance over the Dolphins to 9 straight games. But even in victory, the staff knows there are cracks that need sealing. And this is where Babbage's comments resonate. He's not pretending everything's fine. He's owning the issue and promising adjustments. And let's remember, this defense is already dealing with injuries. Ed Oliver, one of the cornerstones of the defensive line, was sidelined with an ankle injury. Without his presence in the middle, the Bills had to rely on rotation and depth pieces to fill the gap. That lack of disruption up front makes it much harder for the secondary to hold coverage, especially on a team with playmakers like Hill and Waddle. What makes this so fascinating, Bills Mafia, is how this coaching staff responds. McDermott and Babbage have built this defense on fundamentals, discipline, assignments, and communication. But against Miami, cracks in those fundamentals showed. That means the week of practice leading into the next matchup won't just be about game planning. It's about getting back to basics, footwork, tackling angles, coverage handoffs, everything that turns 3rd and long into a punt instead of a first down.
And you know what? There's reason for optimism. For one, this coaching staff has shown they can fix problems fast. We've seen Buffalo adjust before after a shaky performance. For another, this roster is filled with veterans who take pride in situational football. Guys like Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, and Matt Milano know 3rd downs are money downs. They're what separate good defenses from great ones. Here's the thing I love about Babbage's comments. He didn't say, "We'll figure it out later." He said, "It starts with me." That's the kind of leadership you want calling plays on defense. He knows Miami found soft spots. He knows Buffalo's pass rush didn't get home. He knows Waddle and Hill got the better of them in big moments. And instead of pushing it on to the players, he took that weight. That builds trust. That builds accountability. And that's how you get better. So what does this mean moving forward? If the Bills can clean up their 3rd down defense, look out. They're already 3-0. Josh Allen is playing MVP-caliber football, James Cook is emerging as a 3-down weapon, and the offense is balanced in a way we haven't seen in years. Fix the 3rd down defense, get Ed Oliver back healthy, and suddenly you're talking about a Buffalo team with no glaring weaknesses. But if the 3rd down woes linger, opponents will notice. Other offensive coordinators will see what Miami did and try to replicate it. That means the Bills need to respond fast. In this league, if you show a weakness, teams will attack it until you prove you can stop it. So here we are. The Bills are 3-0, they've beaten a tough Ravens squad, and they just handled a heated divisional game against Miami. Next up, they've got heavyweights like the Chiefs, Bucks, and Eagles on the schedule, but all 3 of those games are at home. And if James Cook keeps playing like this, with Allen at MVP level, Buffalo may just be unstoppable. Bills Mafia, this is where you come in. I want to hear from you. Do you believe James Cook has truly turned the corner into a full-fledged workhorse? Do you think his growth in pass protection and consistency on the ground is what finally gives the Bills the balance they've needed? Or do you worry the workload might wear him down over the long season? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this conversation is just getting started. Before you go, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our exclusive Bills coverage. We're here every week breaking down the stories that matter most to you, the fans. At the end of the day, Buffalo isn't just chasing wins, they're building something special. James Cook's rise as a three-down back isn't just about carries and yards, it's about identity. It's about a team proving it can adapt, evolve, and keep climbing toward the ultimate goal, a Super Bowl in Buffalo. Go Bills!